Christian apologists, some very conservative types, and some other people on the other side. The debate was a resounding defeat for the conservatives, and as a result, there's been a mass resignation from the national church in Finland. I guess the latest count as of today, and this is just since Tuesday, about 18,000 people have resigned from the national church, and the last estimate that I've heard on that is that it's going to cost the church about 1.8 million euros per year.
Yeah, so thank you for your bigotry in driving people away from your faith.
Yes, and I predict that the church in Finland will evolve as a result of this to become more tolerant.
Yeah, or die.
Yeah. So. Yes. So see how fast evolution works. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on with the talk. The reason I wanted to do this conspiracy theorist topic is because we periodically get a flood of emails on a specific topic, and I guess it relates to how popular a specific clip is on YouTube at the time. But we've had a couple of people write to us promoting their favorite conspiracy theories. So I want to give you some examples of some stuff we get in email. Okay, so we had a guy write to us a few months ago, and he has this theoretical model, a cosmological model, that he claims is better than the Big Bang Theory. And he wanted us to review it. And so I asked him, hey, did you submit this for peer review from people that are qualified to do it? And his response was, well, the scientific orthodoxy won't let him publish his ideas because they're just too threatening. So, and another theme that we periodically get is on vaccines. Vaccines are a plot by Big Pharma that's designed to keep us from the knowledge that all we need to do to remain healthy and prevent disease is get sufficient vitamin D3 and maybe drink some colloidal silver. Never mind that it turns you blue. And colloidal silver is actually a good disinfectant. It actually does have antimicrobial properties, but only when applied topically. There's no evidence that it actually does that when you drink it. So please don't drink it. And a big one is 9/11 was an inside job, and the proof is that the U.S. government has previously engaged in conspiracy theories. Okay, plus zeitgeist. Okay. Christianity is a big conspiracy designed to keep everyone in line. The leaders of the major religions all know this, but they're sworn to secrecy. And zeitgeist.
I see a theme.
And HIV doesn't cause AIDS. HIV is actually a harmless virus. But Big Pharma and the CDC need you to believe that it causes AIDS. They use this to control certain segments of the population, for example, gays, and to generate big profits for Big Pharma and for genocide. And it's actually the antiretrovirals that cause AIDS. If you just exercise, take your vitamins, especially D3, eat an organic vegan diet and reduce your stress, you won't die from AIDS. So these are some of the conspiracy theories that we get in email. And of course they all want to chastise us for not thinking more critically, because we're being just like the theists when we reject their theories. So that brings us to the question of why do people believe this crap? Well, it's basically a defense mechanism. Okay? Conspiracy theories help people resolve the cognitive dissonance that they feel when some facts challenge their belief systems. Okay? And when you add cognitive bias to that, that makes sure that any new information that would challenge the theory either gets discounted or they overlook it. So people tend to discount information that disconfirms their beliefs, and they overinflate the importance of any information that tends to support their beliefs. And this is all born of a need to find some meaning in something that may otherwise be just an inexplicable event. People need to feel like they can identify a cause for something. And you see this a lot with, for example, parents of autistic kids who want to point to a cause, even though there might not be a definable answer that we can point to.
And I just want to say, with something like that, that's what makes me especially, I always sometimes will say there's a special place in the darkest part of my black atheist heart for certain people, and for people that would take advantage of somebody who is desperately vulnerable to find some solution to an ill person in their family, especially a child. I have no sympathy for that person whatsoever, as far as like whoever would take advantage of that. There's just nothing you could impose on them that would be too merciless.
Right, and when you look at what happens when people employ these kind of defense mechanisms, often they're feeling socially isolated and particularly disempowered by whatever is going on. And so they're looking for something that alleviates these feelings. And what they find often with other conspiracy theorists is that they get this communal reinforcement. So they've got this community of other people that believe the same thing. And so this sort of is like a self-reinforcing thing. That kind of points back to the number of zeitgeist believers who contact us. They're very enthusiastic about this, and they eagerly solicit our approval of their beliefs.
And can we just say one more time that is debunked on the blog?
Yes,
so there's no need to write to the list. You can go to the blog, look it up, see the opinions on it. It's been stated publicly. So feel free to not email our list about Zeitgeist and go to the blog and check the response.
Yeah, we've not been subtle about our opinion of Zeitgeist. However, it's interesting the number of very hostile responses we get from people who find out that we don't share their beliefs. And again, there's this need to believe that there's some agency behind these events, whether it's 9/11 or, my kid is autistic and I don't know why. And
it's intelligent agency.
Right.
Like you say, it's conspiracy. It's not, this isn't just, it's some other virus causing this or that. It's that, it's like there's this sort of, conscious control you're talking about.
Yes, and it's something that they are privy to that perhaps other people aren't. And then it's actually related to pareidolia, which is this tendency in humans to attribute, to see patterns where none exist, actually. And so it's the same thing that produces, the Virgin Mary in a grilled cheese, or, Jesus in a dog's butt or something. So that's one of the reasons people do it. It's basically a defense mechanism. So how do you avoid falling victim to a conspiracy theory or some other unscientific explanation for something? It's basically Occam's razor. Does the alternative explanation that you're proposing explain more of the evidence than the generally accepted theory or mainstream theory? If it doesn't, then you probably should reject that. Okay. Logic. Does the theory you're proposing depend on logical fallacies? And often what we see with some of these conspiracy theories is that it absolutely depends on logical fallacies. When confronted with evidence that the facts don't fit their theory, a lot of people resort to ad hominem attacks or some other logical fallacy. Next, is there a clear standard, as it goes to methodology, is there a clear standard for what does and does not count as evidence in support of your theory? If you can't clearly articulate what does and doesn't support your theory, then it's probably not very valid. An example of this was this whole repressed memory thing that was going on back in the 80s, where if you couldn't remember being sexually abused as a child, that meant you were sexually abused,
right?
And you repressed it, And there was this broad definition of what the symptoms were, and odds are, if you broaden the definition enough, then you're going to have some symptoms there, and that gets us into falsifiability. At some point, there's so many things that could support the theory that it becomes unfalsifiable. The magnitude of the conspiracy is another big one. If the success of the conspiracy depends on huge numbers of people being in on it, it's probably not going to be successful. And the other point to make here is that conspiracies are rarely successful. Even those that are at some point successful, people generally find out about it. So if there are no whistleblowers coming forward, if they never come forward, that's not an evidence that there's a conspiracy going on. You actually have to have hardcore evidence that something is happening here. And then, of course, you have to evaluate the expertise of those making a claim. So if someone's proposing an alternative explanation for something, look at their expertise. If they are delving into some kind of scientific theory, claiming, for example, that evolution's a hoax and they've got some evidence to back it up, if their doctorate is in religious studies, then you can probably safely discount what they're saying because they don't have the relevant education and expertise to make that, that claim. So just make sure if you don't have the education and expertise to properly evaluate the evidence, then you have to rely on experts to do it for you. So make sure you properly vet your experts before you accept their claims.
Well, and also even somebody that has, I would say, that has valid credentials, you want to look at how does that align with other people who have the same credentials in the field. Like how are they looked at and viewed in their relevant field.
Exactly, because it is possible to have the relevant education and expertise and then be regarded as a complete crank by the others in your field.
Or simply be at odds.
Yeah.
With, consensus.
Yeah.
Which, and that doesn't make you wrong, but it does mean that if I'm not an expert, that's something I want to consider.
Right.
Okay.
So, that's pretty much what I wanted to hit on. That should be enough to poke a hornet's nest.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get some letters, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay.
So should we go with calls?
Let's go with some calls. We've got Caesar in Queens, New York.
Queens, New York.
Caesar, Queens, New York. Queens, New York. Caesar, Queens, New York.
Okay, I'm putting that on hold. I don't know what's going on with that line.
Yeah, that's weird. Let's see, you want to go to John in Canyon Lake?
Yeah, we'll give John a try. That's on line 4?
Line 4.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Hi, John.
Hi there.
John, you're on the air.
Yes. Hello.
Hey.
Hi. What I would like to say is, number one, you were talking about conspiracy theories and the Big Bang, and it's funny because here's science, and it pushes forward this definition of the Big Bang, and yet science has also proven that sound doesn't carry in space in a vacuum. So really, I think it would more or less be called the Big Flash, wouldn't it?
Well, the Big Bang wasn't the original name of the theory. That was actually proposed by, I guess, was it
a detractor?
Yeah,
it was meant to be. It was meant to be kind of like making fun of it.
Yeah, it was part of a debate. It was meant to be making fun of it. So.
Well, I just thought ironic that science's explanation, the name of it itself is kind of a catch-22 scenario. But besides that, the reason why I called is because I feel like atheism as a whole is kind of like a white elephant in the room. It seems that the movement is very small. The groups that are out there, they don't seem to have much organization or money to advance their deals, and their deal is non-belief. That's almost something not even to promote, but at the same time, it's dealing with the issues of the majority, which is the religious Christian population of our country, the United States. And basically, it's kind of difficult to accept being an atheist, first of all, because you have to take a step back from the general concept of reality, which is there a guy in heaven who cares about us and is going to take care of us and look after our needs, and after we die, we go to a better place? Or is this all fallacy and it's not true? So people who believe it are either mentally ill or delusioned, and so you take this step back from that and you say, okay, if I don't believe this to be true, then I have to come to accept the fact that 80 or so % of the population of this country is delusional or insane.
They're just simply not thinking about it, I think,
Yeah.
most of them. And, I mean, you go with what you've been raised with. It's just like being raised racist. You could go to, for example, certain countries where you have, like, big degrees of tribal infighting, and you'll see a lot of, like, racial tensions there. It's just how people are raised. And so that majority of people in that region aren't going to question it.
I agree with that. And as an atheist, you have to come to the exception that really you're the outsider. You're the one who doesn't fit in society. And that's a hard thing to accept, because that's the way I feel anyways.
Well,
I feel that I don't really fit in society.
You're also I see you're in Canyon Lake, Texas. So region makes a huge difference to how you feel about being an atheist. There are places where nobody even gives it a second thought, depending on the city. But you're right. I mean, there are unfortunately still areas. We get more letters than I would like to see from people saying, I don't dare let anybody find out, or I let somebody find out I thought I could trust, and now the whole community is like ostracizing me, or I'm being picked on at school, or so it can be tough depending on where you live. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean the really heartbreaking emails that we get are from kids who, come out as atheists to their parents, and then they get rejected by their families, and told, if you don't go to church, I'm not going to pay for your college, or something like that.
Yeah, we actually just got one this week saying that.
Yeah, so those are pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and you feel under this immense pressure that whenever you're in society, you go out to make friends or whatever, and it seems like religion is always brought into the equation of any friendship or any association that you have with people, and you really have to be careful about how you respond to the questions that people ask you, because it can result in them alienating you from their friendship, or all kinds of things, which I'm sure you're all aware of and everything.
Yeah.
But it's just, I'm just amazed that there is not more interaction on the part of the community, the atheist community, as you call it, or the free thinker community or whatnot, to go out and organize to create more social networks.
Well, there are some. I just had jotted down CORE. The Coalition of Reason is a national network that's being very, very aggressive in going city to city and promoting they're like supporting all sorts of moves towards marketing and advertising and putting on bus ads and billboards. And a lot of times when you see articles on the internet about a billboard going up in a city or a bus ad going, it's the Coalition of Reason that has come in and is promoting this. So there is if you want to support something like that, that's doing something like that, you might check out their site and just see if that's something you could get behind.
Well, and
I would love to even wear a T-shirt, but I'm afraid I would get shot.
Well, the other thing is that we just had the Texas Free Thought Convention in Dallas just this past weekend, last weekend. I was there. It was well attended, extremely well done. So all the free thinker and atheist groups in Dallas, great job. And it's going to be in Houston next year. So you might want to think about looking that up and attending that, because I think you would come away with a different view of what's happening, especially in Texas, in the free thought and secular groups.
Yeah, I feel a little bit for John, though. I mean, I understand that he can attend these events, but I think what he's saying is that in his day-to-day life, living in a small city in Texas...
Yeah, my wife is a Christian.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So
my people that work for me, they're Christians, and anything, it seems like anytime you want to discuss the topic, you get shut out, or whatever the case is. But it's just very frustrating, because I feel like I'm an outsider, that I don't belong, and that I feel like I live in an insane world, which kind of bothers me.
Well, I mean, one of the things that people use sometimes to cope with situations like this, and you might want to try this, is basically take on the role of the anthropologist. So when they start talking about this stuff, you can just ask them questions about what they believe and why they believe it. Don't challenge their belief or anything, just ask them questions.
And this I do quite often.
Yeah, and the other thing is, a lot of people started a blog because they didn't have any other outlet.
And then it's kind of confusing for kids. You're trying to raise kids.
Mm-hmm.
One parent is Christian, one parent is an atheist. That's an incredible conflict.
Yeah, we get those letters too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a situation which I find very difficult to deal with. I wish they had a group up here where I live in the middle of nowhere, I guess. But
so start one.
Yeah, I would like to. You just don't know how to go about it. That's the only thing. If you get identified in a small community, you might be signing your death.
Yeah. Well, there are code words, I guess you can use, like free thought group or skeptics group or
secular
a
group.
humanist group, or I mean, if you really don't want to come out and say atheist group or something like that.
Yeah, and I'll hang up here after this. But the last thing I have to say is, in all the years that I've studied religion and the Bible, it really has been very educational for me to review studies that have done on the writings and all that, where they come from, and it seems like it's an automatic understanding that it's a work of fiction and it came from mythology, and it should be easy for the average person to understand, and why the masses, the majority, don't, number one, investigate their own religion beyond the book in which it's printed, and number two, don't see that it's a work of fiction or work of mythology. It totally amazes me.
Well, they're told not to look.
Well, I was going to say, the answer to number one is indoctrination, and the answer to number two is the same as the answer to number one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All righty.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Right.
Okay, should we try for Caesar again?
Sure. Let's see. Do I need to drop that one?
No, it'll go. And then just, you can hit for number
All right,
two.
number two.
All right, we're trying again. Hi, Caesar, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, okay, so you guys could hear me?
Yes,
Yep,
we
we
finally
can
can hear you.
Oh, okay. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, I'm a believer, and I like to start out asking you guys a question. It's an honest question, and I hope you guys can give me an answer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really simple. The question is, what is the evidence that makes your atheism true?
Well, my atheism is that I don't believe a God exists, and the reason for that is that I don't see any evidence that a God exists.
Okay. So basically, it's
like the same I would respond to, for example, if you asked me what is my evidence that fairies don't exist, it would be pretty similar. I can't demonstrate to you that they don't, but since there's no reason to believe in them, I don't believe in them.
Yeah, but I was hoping for a scientific evidence, because you guys are such...
Well, that is an application of science. It's appropriate to reject a claim for which no evidence has been presented.
Oh, well, I disagree on that, obviously. I think there is evidence.
So you think that it's appropriate to accept
No,
a
he
claim?
says he disagrees in that he says that there is evidence.
Well, then by all means, present your
yeah,
evidence.
if there's sufficient evidence, then it would be believable.
No, I know, but the answers you gave me is that, so basically the answer you gave me is not really a scientific answer. It's not based on scientific evidence.
Yes, it is. It's based on the fact that
we have no evidence to examine, and therefore we cannot assert that this thing exists. I can't assert something exists for which I have no evidence that it exists.
Okay, well, that's not really that's like a deduction you made. That's not really like a scientific...
There's no measurement of it. Okay, so in other words, if you cannot measure this thing, if there's no way to measure it, then there is nothing there. Okay? When you go to measure something and you get a zero measurement, you're dealing with something that we generally would call nothing. And what I'm saying is that so far the measurements, anything you would measure to determine that something exists, comes back negative. There's nothing there. So until I have something that demonstrates that it's there, if you can show a measurement that this thing actually does exist, that there is something there, then my assessment is that what we're talking about is nothing.
Okay, well, obviously you're making the assumption that God is a physical being, that he could be measured.
Well, you're saying he exists. Well, yeah. That's what that means.
Existing doesn't mean it has to be physical.
What is exist in what way? And your mind is physical. If we destroyed your brain, your mind would stop, right? It's a function of your brain.
That's the assumption if you don't believe, yeah. But this,
I can show me a mind that exists without a brain.
We can demonstrate that.
Yeah, I think you could, but all right. The thing is that that's really like I could talk about the evidence, but this has been done so many times before on your show.
Yeah, I know you've been on the show before. So.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that you guys are like, you have heard evidence of the intelligent design.
That was shot down at Dover pretty humiliatingly.
Yeah, that's dead.
No, I don't know. Also,
Well, you need to read.
Yeah,
you need
can
to
look it up.
read the court case Dover v. Kitzmiller or Kitzmiller v. Dover. That was very convincingly shot down.
Right. That's when they had their chance to
And-
make their case.
And the people who were proposing this idea of intelligent design were shown to be very dishonest. So,
no, I'm not talking about just the biology. I know what you're talking about with Dr. Behe. They went to court.
yeah.
I'm also talking about the finite tuned universe, the evidence of intelligence in our universe, the fact that
And all of those rely on logical fallacies or just
Okay, can you give me a
broad
logical fallacy
what of what?
of why I believe the universe is intelligently made? Give me a logical fallacy.
Oh, why would I assume something? It's basically an argument from ignorance.
Well, you say that these are deductions that I make. It's not what I don't know; it's what I do know about the universe. Like
Okay, then give me something that you do know that points to an intelligent universe.
Okay, life. Only life can make. Only life can make life, and intelligence. It's only life can make life. Only life can make life, and intelligence comes from intelligence. It can't come from molecules in motion. You know what I mean?
And yet we have experiments that demonstrate that we can get the basic protein building
RNA.
blocks.
Yeah, that. Oh my God, that is
From
almost
chemistry.
laughable. That is
Really?
just getting amino blocks. It's like saying I constructed a pile of rubble of bricks, therefore I have a house. You are
but
so
what you're-
far
what
away
you're-
from a cell.
No. Caesar, the problem here is that you are so far away from understanding anything related to the science involved in
Okay,
this.
what don't I understand? You just told me I don't understand.
I can't give you a lesson in biochemistry.
Wait a minute. I
on the
know what an
TV show.
amino acid is.
I
Amino
understand.
acid is a building block for proteins. Proteins are three-dimensional structures for the cell. I know that basic stuff. And you're telling me, hello?
You're still on.
Sorry. And you're telling me that just because we can construct simple amino acids, therefore we explain life.
Well, if you go back a few years, it was that we couldn't construct these simple amino acids, therefore, it wasn't possible to get life from non-life. And now that we know you can construct these simple amino acids, and there have been experiments where these things are self-assembling.
No, there have. Oh,
yeah,
They have. What do you mean, inside the cell or outside the cell?
Well, we've got experimental results that show these things are self-organizing.
Of course they do, inside the cell. Yeah, of course. I'm talking about outside the cell, without the mechanisms.
Well, what do you want, a step-by-step procedure?
No, but that's the thing, because if you're an atheist, right, you rely on these very detailed, bottom-up, explanations.
Okay, stop. Here, because if you want a step-by-step sequence of what happens to construct
I don't.
this,
I know that's impossible.
okay,
No one has the
no,
answer
it's not
to this.
impossible, and it's in fact, I would say it's probable that given enough time, we will construct that step-by-step sequence.
Okay, that is atheism in the gas. You're placing your faith on scientism.
I'm not placing my faith on anything. I'm looking at the evidence. And
Yeah,
I have no
so am
evidence
I.
of a
Look,
supernatural intervention anywhere. And unless you do, then you're done.
I know the argument you're making about the amino acids, that we can construct simple amino acids. I can say another thing about that. You're just talking about intelligent design, because you're talking about human beings who are intelligent agents manipulating the amino acids of a cell. That is not a natural phenomenon. That is an agency at work.
What makes you think that, okay, you're saying that there has to be some kind of intelligent agency involved in manipulating these, or it doesn't happen?
For the cell, yes, only because the cell is such a complicated machine.
Okay, so once we demonstrate that if you put the right basic ingredients together, that a cell is constructed, then you're going to drop that and move up?
All right, first of all, even if you do that, I don't know if that's even possible. Maybe with future technology, we can construct a cell. That's intelligent design. It hasn't been shown to happen naturally. It's been shown to happen with a brain, with technology and man, It has to be demonstrated
let me ask you
naturally.
something.
Wait, can I interject just one thing?
Yeah.
You're not going to demonstrate it happening in nature because the time frame that it happened in, the planet is no longer under those conditions. We have an entirely different atmosphere. We have an entirely different construct of this planet than the time with which this would have occurred. So to look at the planet 4 billion years later, or I don't know, and say it doesn't happen today. Well, I don't see dinosaurs running around today either, and yet I know that there were dinosaurs at one point in history.
That's an argument. That's not scientific.
Well, no, Caesar, let me ask you something. Let me ask you a question. What piece of scientific evidence would refute your claim that intelligence is required to produce life?
Well, it is falsifiable. If science can find how life was created on its own without any intelligence interference, then that will be one piece of evidence against God, I suppose. It won't dissuade me, but
okay, so
it won't make any difference.
So there's no piece of scientific evidence that you would accept
in this regard.
There is one, the universe. If you can show how the universe created without a God, then that's damning right there.
Well, we have the Big Bang Theory that's been confirmed.
Yeah, the Big Bang Theory. That's just an event. That doesn't mean it created itself.
So in other words, there's no scientific evidence that you would accept that would disprove this notion you have of an intelligent agency behind this.
I have another one. I'm a believer in the near-death experience or the out-of-body experience.
No. Answer the question, because is there any piece of scientific evidence that you personally will accept that will refute your claim that there's an intelligent agency behind all this?
That's true. You're talking, all right, can you give me one? Because
I'm asking you, what scientific evidence, is there any piece of scientific evidence that you will accept that will refute your claim that an intelligent agency is behind this?
Science has not shown whether God
it's a yes or no question.
Not exist.
It's a yes or no question.
You're talking about scientific evidence, right?
Caesar, it's a yes or no question.
It's a loaded yes or no question. I can't answer it with just a yes or a no. I need to explain a little bit.
Is there any scientific evidence?
The simple answer is no, not right now.
Okay, then why are you claiming that you have science? Why are you attacking science? Your faith is based entirely on
something else.
On theological
You're misinterpreting. I'm a believer in the scientific world, obviously. I mean,
no, you're not. You're rejecting its basic conclusions.
Everything you talked
you're
about,
rejecting the methodology.
And the proteins, I totally agree with you. Yeah, those things make life.
I mean, but isn't your basic argument that because you feel that life has not been explained, like how life initiated has not been explained, that you think that's evidence a God exists? I mean, is that not what you're saying?
That's evidence for intelligent design. Look,
Why?
aliens could have done it. Look, aliens could have done it, right?
It could have happened naturally, correct? I mean, it could have, if we're talking about
aliens could have done it, but the aliens are another stopgap. Life doesn't explain.
Can you rule out that life could spark naturally in all circumstances that occur in the universe?
Oh yeah, because you know why? Because I could see the. Let me explain. The cell is the most complicated piece of machinery in this universe. It's more complicated than your brain. It's more complicated. No, not really. I mean, brain cells.
Thank you.
It's more complicated than a space shuttle, right? Is a cell more complicated than the space shuttle?
I don't know. There's like a few components in there. I don't know that there.
A few components. A cell can do things that we can't even imagine right now with our technology.
I think we can imagine them. Yeah.
We can imagine. We can't do it. We can. We can't even duplicate what a cell can do.
Well, the space shuttle does things I can't do. Right? I can't orbit the Earth.
Yeah, but you're making a mockery out of the cell.
I'm not making a mockery. You're exaggerating the complexity of this thing.
Yeah, it's a complexity, and the only explanation for that complexity is intelligence.
How do you know that?
You go, okay, molecules. I know a little bit of molecules in motion chemistry, right? Okay. Now, there's two theories about how life started. Either it was a self-replicating molecule, or the other ridiculous theory that it's just self-assembled, that's almost I hope you don't believe that. I mean, that's utterly impossible.
How do you know that?
Self-assembled?
Yeah, all the parts of the, like Transformers, the movie.
No, it's not like that.
Yeah, it's not like that. Right.
A cell making itself out of raw materials is even worse than that. So
Evolving
I hope you don't believe that.
Materials.
It evolves from simpler...
Okay, so you believe it evolved from the...
No, nobody's saying what they believe. We're just saying...
self-replicating molecule, right?
I'm saying that even if we had no clue and no theories about how it happened, that's simply a big black hole of nobody knows.
Yeah,
and to
but
fill it that
I'm
in with
making a deduction here from what I do know
but
about
how are you
intelligence.
how can you say
the
intelligence
intelligent
required?
mind? Like, I know a human being one day might be able to create a cell because he has a brain. He has a mind.
Do we have anything else here besides the argument from ignorance?
Caesar, what's your educational background, just out of curiosity?
Some college. I didn't graduate.
Oh, okay.
What does that have to do? The truth is the truth. I don't care if I get the truth from a fortune cookie or from Harvard. Everything that I said, right? Well, name one thing that's wrong with it.
You're using the argument from ignorance. That's the basic problem with
Look,
it.
all right, the origins of life is a mystery. Of course it is, right? I don't have the answers.
Okay. But you're asserting it requires intelligence. You're asserting that.
Yes, you're
saying
claiming
it
that you do
requires
have an
intelligence
answer.
while we don't know what caused it.
No, we don't know what caused it, but if you use deduction, if you know about what it takes to make these things,
Which we don't.
No, we don't. We don't know a lot about a lot of things.
So if you know, then, but we don't know, so how can you make assertions about something that we have no information about, like you and I?
The clues point to intelligence. The clues point to intelligence.
No, not when you don't know how it's done. If we don't know how it's done, we can't say it requires intelligence or not, because we don't know how it's done.
Okay, we do know there are machines inside the cell that does work, right?
Well,
yeah,
there's energy. I mean, it does stuff.
Obviously,
It
right?
does stuff.
And
Okay.
the cell can take apart proteins, make proteins, generate energy.
Yeah, the
That's
sun does
machinery
things
at work,
too.
right?
Yeah.
Now, I only know of one place where machines can be created and put to work. That's through intelligence, through intelligent agents making those
Because
machines,
you're saying
those.
that everything natural is intelligently formed.
That is a classic argument from ignorance.
Doesn't the sun produce energy?
Wait a minute. Oh, you said, okay, that's an argument from ignorance. Wait,
Yes.
You're saying that, in other words, me deducing that it takes intelligence to create a machine is being ignorant?
No, but asserting that all things that function and do something, like the sun is a big flaming gas ball, to say that that can't happen
That's
naturally.
not a machine. That's
It's a big
chemistry at
nuclear
work.
reactor, isn't it?
Huh?
It's a giant nuclear reactor, right?
You're talking about
The sun.
an explosion of gas? What?
I'm talking about the sun.
The sun.
The sun?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the sun is not a machine. It's
What?
not. It doesn't
Isn't
have
it just
machinery in it.
isn't it a
doesn't
big
have,
reactor?
It's a machine?
You don't think a reactor is a machine?
Not the sun. The sun, those are natural forces at work. There's no machines in it. Nothing's
Well, then,
built
why do you
in
think?
the sun.
Why would you think that the
Energy is created
that what
from
goes
the
on
sun.
inside a cell is not natural forces at work?
Look,
These
you're
are
making an
normal
analogy
chemical
that the sun,
reactions.
with your argument, you could say fire is a machine. Come on.
Yes, and like from your argument, I could, because you're saying that anything that functions is a machine.
No, not just. It's function with purpose. The cells, the functions inside the cell have purpose. They have jobs to do. Okay. Because if they don't do those jobs, I'm sorry if I'm being hostile. I'm sorry.
You're not. You're being fine. Your attitude's
But
fine.
I mean, they have jobs to do. They have purpose. They're not mindless machines.
And you don't think that evolution drives what would appear to be
First of all,
a
evolution
purpose.
doesn't explain life. We shouldn't talk about evolution.
Well, no, but you're talking about purpose, and I'm saying
Evolution
that
explains the diversity of life.
and evolution also explains why things are geared toward something that would be like towards
evolution
survival.
explains how life A could go to life B. I understand that.
Right.
I don't really disagree with evolution.
What do you disagree
But the
about?
purpose you're describing is an evolutionary function.
Yeah, all right. So you're talking. Are you talking about now the cell evolving from the single molecule, the single replicating molecule?
No, I'm saying that when you look at that cell and you say it has a purpose, you're looking at it as part of a construct of a larger organism. Because a cell by itself has no function that would be purposeful or that could even be construed.
The function is life, obviously. I mean, the cells are there to live. That is the purpose.
But different cells do different things in different parts of the body.
I'm talking about the machinery of the cells. You're talking about...
Okay, well, if you separate that from an organism, it doesn't really have purpose. It's just simply functioning for the sake of functioning.
So you told me the machines inside the cells are just functioning for the hell of it?
If it's just a cell, yeah. What the hell's it doing? What is the purpose of it?
All right.
A cell in a petri dish, what is the purpose of that?
The purpose of the cell is going to divide and replicate.
Yes, it's going to do that. What's the purpose?
What's the purpose of replicating?
Or just sitting in the petri dish and even just dying. I mean, I don't care what it does. Whatever that cell does, what makes you think that there's a purpose to a cell in a petri dish?
The purpose of its life to continue.
No, it is alive, but what is the purpose of it?
The ultimate purpose of bacteria in the petri dish?
I don't know if it's ultimate, but what would be the purpose?
Is that even a question? I mean, what are you talking
about? I don't know.
About?
That's what I'm trying to find out. I don't know what we're talking about. That's my
argument.
problem.
I'm talking about the machinery inside the cell, the little components, the little machines that do
just
work.
Runs the cell. How is that a purpose?
How are you defining machines inside the cell?
I don't know.
Yeah, the machines inside the cell, I'm
like
not a
mitochondria
biologist,
or...
The cell has components and machinery inside of it to do functions, to maintain life, and to like repair, energy production, transportation, defense, stuff like that, right?
Okay.
Okay. Those things have purpose because those machines were built for the function. Like let's say the DNA replicating, right?
Yeah.
The DNA itself cannot replicate, but it uses like a type of
RNA.
Copy machine inside the cell. It reads DNA and it splits it in half, and it creates its other missing half. That machine is purposely designed to do that job. Because
No,
if
it
it
isn't.
wasn't...
No, it isn't. That's just biochemistry at work.
But yeah, biochemistry at work. I know the machines are doing work. You're telling me, you're trying to convince me that chemistry has the power to do all this incredibly complicated stuff blindly without direction.
Actually, no, wait. Actually, you're trying to convince us that there's a God. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't. This isn't
We'll get to that, but you're trying to change the
biochemistry
subject.
show.
That's really a cheap tactic, you know.
Hey, you called us.
I know, but you're changing. I'm trying to. You're asking me for evidence and stuff. I'm trying to talk about, and you want to switch gears here.
But I'm not making any claims.
Yeah, you're claiming this stuff all has a purpose and that it can't happen without some intelligence.
Have a function. The machines have a function.
They
have
do
a purpose. They have a function.
Okay. So you're saying that everything inside a cell had some kind of, it was created for some kind of purpose.
That's the only way it could have been done.
And how was the mitochondria created?
The mitochondria is its own cell. It's not part of the original. So it was kind of hijacked by these more primitive cells. Whatever.
Gosh, I wonder how that happened and why, if there was an intelligent designer, the cell wouldn't have its own energy production capabilities without hijacking something else.
Maybe that was the way. Maybe that was the best way to do it. Who knows? I don't know.
But we can be sure that it could not possibly have ever happened via nature. Like that, we can rule that out right now, right? We know that that's impossible.
Say that again.
We can rule out. We can be sure that this is completely an unnatural process. That nature could never have done this.
The production of the cell.
Yeah, absolutely impossible that nature could have ever produced a thing like this.
By itself, yes.
By itself,
without
the same nature that
yes.
Produces the entire, that functions as the entire universe. That amazing nature could never have done this.
Oh, of course, because chemicals, they're just like chemicals are like Lego blocks. They do more than Lego blocks, yes, I know, but they float around in the medium, in water. They collide, they decay.
They do all kinds of things. Chemical reactions are just myriad. I mean, nature is constantly doing all sorts of things all over the universe. Weird stuff that we're always finding new things. We've got these giant energy balls that are running all these planets and running all this, shooting out this energy in all these different environments and atmospheres. And you're saying that in all of that, life couldn't have been spawned. You're positive. You know that. You can rule it out right now because Caesar knows that that's an impossibility.
Yeah, no, because I know because you can know too if you really
believe in God.
No, this is intelligent design. I'm trying to prove intelligent design here.
Right, which is creationism.
Argument.
It's creationism. It comes from
Yeah,
the
you can say
creationists.
aliens, but when you go to the Dover trial and you see the search and replace function didn't work and they just went creation.
I'm not really
design.
a religious person, so I mean, I believe.
But
in
you've
God,
adopted
yes,
a religious argument, so you're arguing for religion whether you're religious or not.
I'm not.
Yes.
You say you're putting words in my mouth. I just
I
said
am.
I'm not a religious
I
person.
am putting words in your mouth because this is a religious argument that you're using. It doesn't matter
It's
to me if you're
intelligent
religious or
design.
not.
Intelligent design is a religious argument. It is not a scientific argument.
It could be aliens could have done it.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Look, the intelligence I'm proposing, I don't really need to explain the intelligence. It could
Well,
be
you kind of do. You kind of do
If you
because
want to
you're making
convince
assumptions
us,
about it.
you do need to explain it.
I need to explain the explanation.
Yeah, because otherwise
Yeah.
you have no cause.
That is, science would be impossible if that were true.
You have to. You're saying
No.
that you have an idea about a cause, but you're saying you know nothing about this cause.
I know some things about the cause.
Okay.
I mean, everybody knows. We're not living in a.
I don't know. Everybody knows. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people know. But wait a minute. You're telling me to explain the explanation. That is unscientific. If science did what you did right now,
right.
it wouldn't exist.
Well, then if you don't have a cause that you can define, aren't you just saying X did it?
I don't need to define the cause. I just need to show that the cause exists.
That would be great.
Yeah, exactly. And you're telling me
Can
that
you
I
do
need to
it?
explain the existence of God. All I need to do is explain that he's there. I don't need to explain his nature or why he's there, how he got there.
Can you demonstrate it's there? That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now through life.
No, you're telling me what you think. You're telling me what you think about a cause. I'm saying, can you demonstrate your cause? It actually exists. Because things that don't exist can't be the cause of other things. So I'm assuming you have some demonstration that the thing you're saying caused this exists.
Yeah, physical things, right? Well, now we're getting
something
way
that
off track
exists.
here.
Well, actually,
If it's not measurable, it's not there.
Oh, really? Like dark matter and dark energy, right? Can't measure those two things.
well, yeah, actually, we've got pretty good evidence of those.
Yeah, but we don't even know what we're talking. Science doesn't even know what it's talking about. When
If
it
you're
mentions
going
How
to
would you
say,
know?
wait,
With
if
your
you're going to
vast
say,
knowledge of science, Caesar, how would you know?
if you're going to say a thing exists, you have got to be able to show something that measures.
Yeah, there needs to be clues, of course.
No,
needs to
there
be,
you have to have
evidence.
something that you're measuring, that you're saying is that cause. Because if you can't demonstrate the cause, then we don't know that your
premise
cause
is wrong. You're talking
exists.
about only things that can you measure can exist. How do you measure beauty then?
That's a subjective.
You're talking about an aesthetic. I mean,
Yeah,
I
but,
guess
but
that you
it
can.
exists, doesn't it? It's real.
It's a
Well, no,
subjective evaluation.
it's conceptual in that it exists in your mind, and your mind exists as part of your brain. So
Yeah, but you know, everything is energy, right?
No, not everything is energy.
Everything
energy
is not
slash
energy.
matter.
Yeah.
Everything is not energy,
No.
really. Or name one thing that's not energy.
Matter.
Matter is energy.
I would give that
E
there's like
equals MC
matter
squared,
slash
come on.
energy.
Yeah.
I would accept
Okay.
that.
Yeah. All right.
Right? Everything is energy. Even your thoughts are energy. They have to be. They can't be ghosts. You don't believe in that, right?
Yeah, I think it's all measurable.
Yeah, okay, so everything is energy. When I think of something as beautiful, like a piece of art, right? Obviously, there's some sort of energy going on in my mind. You can't measure it.
So you're making an
but
assessment,
you're-
correct?
Yeah.
well, right there, I could give you many more analogies why everything that's not measurable does not mean it's, you know.
You just finished saying that it's produced by energy. Is that not measurable?
Yeah.
You know what? Ultimately, it is, but you do not
Thank you.
have the access. You're just guessing right now. You don't know.
We
You
agreed
can't
that it was
measure
all
that.
energy. You just finished saying that it was that your thoughts are energy. Did you not?
Yes.
Is not an assessment of beauty a thought?
Yes, it is, and
Thank
it's energy. And measurable by what are you measuring? Energy. You're measuring energy. I mean, how do you even grasp energy? You don't even know. Look, I'm sorry.
We measure energy in different ways. We have like heat that we can measure in
you're-
degrees of Fahrenheit. We have what else would be other forms of energy that would be
Light.
measurable?
can
Yeah, I mean, but I know like heat, for example, because I cook. So it's
Yeah.
like I'm measuring in
Light.
Fahrenheit.
There's electrical energy. There's
So yes, we do
All kinds
measure
of stuff.
energy all the time, and you can hook a person up to a freaking brain scan and measure their brain activity. What's going on
yes.
there?
And in fact, when you're looking at something that you find beautiful, we can put you inside an fMRI machine
And see if you really find it
and
beautiful.
look at which parts of your brain light up in response to this thing that
Yeah,
you find
that
beautiful.
really doesn't. That's not really. I mean.
It's a measure of the energy that your brain is expending in evaluating this view, this thing you're viewing.
That's really, you know, I don't know why we've been talking about this. We really gotten. I know what you're saying. Yeah, it is measurable, but you're telling me that God is not measurable.
No, you are. You're saying
by our standards, by our physical.
You were the one who made that claim.
Right. I'm asking kind of.
He's not matter and energy. First of all, well, I don't know if he's energy
what is
or what
God?
kind of energy, spiritual energy. I don't know what you want to call it.
I agree that we can't say what it is because there's nothing there to measure.
But it doesn't matter. I don't need to explain him anyway. I don't need to explain his nature to you. I just need to explain. I need just to show you
asked
that he
why I
exists.
don't believe in a God, and I said because there's nothing there to measure. And so, I mean, do you remember the beginning of this conversation? There's nothing there to measure, so it equates. I can't tell the difference between your God and nothing. And you're not giving me anything to show me that difference.
There's a lot of things in the world you can't measure.
Right? You just finished saying everything is energy. How do we not measure energy? You just finished saying everything is energy.
God, he's not a thing. Everything means every physical thing. God is not a thing.
If you can't measure it, how can you say anything about it? How do you know anything about it?
If you can't measure, if I can't measure God, how do I know he exists?
No, how do you know anything about it? If there's nothing there to examine, how do you know anything about it? How do I know how can I speak authoritatively about a fairy if I have no measurement of a fairy? I can't tell you how tall they are. I can't tell you what color wings they have. I can't tell you how many wings they have.
You know what? You can't do that, but maybe you can show me they exist through evidence, through clues.
Like, okay, the fairies, okay, my backyard, I have flowers that bloom. The fairies make those flowers bloom. That's what causes the flowers to bloom. I can show you pictures of flowers blooming in my backyard. Will that convince you?
There's probably a better explanation than that.
Like what? You think nature does it?
Yeah, I do, because
you're
asking the question, if nature was intelligent design, it could do
clearly those flowers bloom with a purpose. You can't measure beauty.
No, you can't measure beauty, nope.
Then how do you explain my flowers?
Yes.
Huh? Wait, this is exactly the problem I have with you atheists. I mean, you bring up an honest question, right? And then it devolves into a mess.
All we've ever had going on is an argument from ignorance. That is what this entire conversation has been about.
All right, I know why you're saying that, but the thing is that you haven't. All right.
If you recall, early on, you asked me about what fallacies.
What I'm talking about the cell. I know what you're saying. It's a mystery. Yes, it is a mystery. Nobody knows how it was done, right?
Okay.
But what I do know, that's not an argument from ignorance. It's from what I do know about the limits of chemistry, of matter in motion, and what I do know what intelligence is able to do. The best explanation for the complexity of the cell, and the cell is the most complicated thing in this universe, by the way, okay?
But you already said that's...
All right, go ahead, Caesar.
Okay. The only thing capable of producing such complexity is intelligence, because...
because what?
Because chemicals in motion will not collide in the perfect order and sequence to produce anything working at all. It won't even, it'll just fall apart. It's like Legos in the ocean.
Why do you think that most people, that the field of abiogenesis has not put forward intelligent design as their consensus theory of how the cell came to, that life came to exist?
They put nothing forward.
Yeah, they have. No, they have theories. No, wait, I'm talking about their theories. But what I'm saying is, if it is so clear that that nature cannot do this, and it is a product of intelligence, why would the people who are the most qualified to understand this data, who have the best access to the best data, not be thinking what you're thinking?
First of all, you do have proponents of intelligent design.
They are not the consensus by any stretch. By any stretch. That is not the prevailing theory. That is not even...
There is no theory.
Yeah, there are theories.
There is no theory to abiogenesis.
Yes, there are. They're only hypothesis
and imagination.
No.
Nothing is testable when it
Nobody is putting forward that we need to posit an intelligence to explain this. Nobody that is representing a consensus of this field. And so I have to ask you why you think that is.
First of all, there are scientists who do propose intelligent design. There are not many, but they're there.
Right, there are not many. It
not-
is not the consensus.
they
Why
are
do you
not-
think most of the people who have access to this data and most of the people who understand this data do not agree with what you're saying?
No, those things, they're doing it because they're biased, obviously. They're materialists. Their jobs
Thank
depend
you
on
for
it. They
illustrating
don't want to.
a point
They don't want to posit
for
a
today's
God
show.
because they think A, B, and C are wrong. But
So
that's
it's a
the
conspiracy.
thing.
But wait, you're saying they don't have to posit a God. They would only have to say that some intelligence did this and that they wouldn't have to reach for religion. So that doesn't really fly.
No, you know what? They could bring up aliens, and you know what? I will entertain that idea. If they say that aliens designed life, then I could be like, you know what? That is believable.
So you'll only say that that whatever they put forward is believable if it agrees with what you've already come to, like what you've already assessed.
Yeah, but the premises that I brought up about the complexity of the cell and how you telling me that nature cannot do you're telling me that nature can do those complicated things with enough time.
No, I'm telling you that I have not ruled that out because I don't think that we can rule it out.
But that takes faith. You know why? Because you have zero evidence
No,
for that.
until somebody demonstrates to me a reason that we have to rule that out, it's open. That is an
but
open
you know
door.
what? I know. All right, you believe it, right? You believe it, right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I have to apologize.
we're almost done here.
But it was the only theist caller, I think.
Yeah.
Oh my
I think
goodness.
so.
That was Caesar. You got the whole show.
Yeah.
And we have to sign off. And thank you to the cast and crew. And apologize to the other callers. Feel free to email us.
Yes, and join us at Threadgills after the show.
Yeah,
we'll be there at 6.
That's 301 West Riverside.
Yep.
And that was a quick hour.
Yeah, it was.
Thank you for your call, Caesar. I'm sure it was
All
appreciated.
right, am I still on the air? Yeah, I just want to apologize if it got a little heated.
No, you
nothing
were
personal.
not at all.
fine. You were absolutely
Okay.
fine. Thank you.
All right.